Welcome everybody to this short launch presentation for the new Essential Piano Technique books, Levels 2 and Level 3. These books have been very much a team effort. And I do want to do a huge thanks firstly to Faber Music and Peter's Edition. And Claire is here from Faber Music. There, stand up, wave your arms, everybody knows you. And so thanks very much to Faber Music for believing in this series and producing further books and for all the wonderful editing and everything else. In his absence, I also want to thank Ryan Morrison, who recorded all the videos for me, and the videos are there obviously as they are in all the books. I want to introduce Aaron, who has composed a lot of new pieces for the books, and he's going to play a few solo ones, and we're going to play a couple of duets as well, so you get a sense of what pieces are like in there. And there are also a lot of people here who have really helped shape the books and tell me what they wanted, and maybe looked at the drafts and made comments. And so please do raise your hand if you're here. Hui, I think she's actually just left, hasn't she? Yeah, Hui. Claire Spencer, no, she's here tomorrow. Panos is in America. Hello, Panos. Oh, Claire. Hello, Claire. Thank you so much for all your help. Inesh is online. She's been a group leader today. Richard, thank you. Louisa, thank you. Hannah O'Toole, Monica. She's the one answering the door. My son Oliver, who always is there for medical advice if I need it. Christine Dunford, she's coming tomorrow. Gareth Brook, and so many others who've just, when I've asked a question online or somewhere, what do you need? What do teachers want? You've always come up with really useful suggestions. So it's really been a fantastic team effort. And thank you so much, all of you, for your support. And most importantly, thank you so much for my family, who've actually just put up with me being so busy. And to Gwen, who is the administrator for the Roskell Academy. She has just been there with me all the time. She's organized this whole, the weekend event, and also helped with the, with the launch and so on, all the preparation. So we're very, very grateful to you. Thank you, Gwen. Thanks. So I'm just going to start by talking very briefly about the books as a whole, and particularly levels 2 and 3. I know a lot of you know them, so I'll just keep it very, very short. And then we'll demonstrate a few of the techniques and some of the pieces from the new books. If you have any questions, please don't ask them now. Just come and talk to us afterwards. So there are actually 5 books now. So we seem to have lost, oh no. So these were the first 3. So these took a student up to about grade 1 level in the UK. And these are the new 2 books, which take you to about grade 2 for level 2, wrong way around. And this one takes you up to intermediate, sort of about a grade 4 level. And the sort of aims really were, they're following on from my very, very hefty fat book called The Complete Pianist, which I know many of you know, and adapting all the principles and the aims of that to teaching beginners, and now moving up to intermediates too. So they all develop really strong technical foundations, which are going to be really powerful for both them to play really musically later on, and to feel really at ease with the piano, and to avoid the many, many problems that a lot of student and professional pianists develop later on. So we're really trying to absolutely give them the best foundations in their playing. They are called Essential Piano Technique books, but it's using a very broad definition of the word technique. So we're not just talking about scales and arpeggios and all what we consider to be the boring stuff. We're actually talking about the really interesting things, like how do we make a beautiful sound? How do we shape a phrase? How do we play expressively? How do we balance the sounds? How do we make the music dance? So all these aspects of playing, they are the skills which a pianist uses to play well. So, and all the techniques are what I call musically focused. So we always start with an exercise that's away from the piano. And by that, I mean, just maybe a very, very broad movement that a student does standing up. And this is then using very natural movements that a student is used to using in their everyday life. So they're learning to coordinate really well and have a lot of freedom at the piano. And then we translate that into a very simple exercise at the piano. And then we always follow that by a piece of music. And a lot of these have been written absolutely specially for them by Aaron. And each piece specifically focuses on that one particular technique. So it's not using 5 different techniques that they've got to grapple with, but it's really focusing on what they've just been learning. So it's a very serious approach to technique, but we're using a lot of imagery, we're using games, we're using fun activities and a lot of imagery so that they're very suitable for pianists of all ages. These new 2 books are obviously sort of aimed at a slightly older age level. So we're thinking of age sort of 7 up to adult, really. So there are a few differences from the earlier books. Obviously, we're cutting out some of the sort of very child-friendly images and the language. So it's aimed at more older learners. And we're assuming that they've got more independence as learners. So whereas before we had the videos, for instance, in the teachers, on the teacher notes at the back, here the videos are on the page. They've been given some suggested pieces to follow it up with some extensions that they can explore. So we're really giving them a little bit more independence. And we've got more solo pieces now because they can play more complex pieces, so they can enjoy playing more solo pieces compared to what they were playing before, where we needed a lot of teacher accompaniment and support. This, by the way, is Hui, who missed my thanks earlier on. And I have to say, Hui is my neighbor, and she went through every single exercise in level 2 and level 3 with me, saying, don't quite understand what you mean there. Oh, now I get it. And that was, she was absolutely blunt with me, and that was really, really helpful. And she's somebody who had a very, very scary teacher as a child, and she's always been terrified. She walked in the first day. She's my close neighbor. And she just said, I've never been in a room full of piano teachers before. Anyway, so just a very brief summary of what's in each book for those of you who are piano teachers and want to know. Level 2, as always, there's quite a few warm-ups. There's some hand strengthening exercises, especially we're focusing on fingers 4 and 5 because that's what they really need to develop at this stage. A lot of ways of doing expressive gestures, so a lot of rounded movements, even sort of making scales sound expressive, making arpeggios sound expressive, and a lot of focusing on listening, because that's what students don't do enough of. So we're really listening to the quality of sound, and we're exploring a range of sounds. We've got things like sound explorers and dynamic explorers. So they're just working out how, if I make that movement, it creates that sound. If I do something different, it creates a different sort of sound. So it gives them that sense of independent exploration, really. And then we're starting to have left-hand melodies. We've got rotation and Alberti bass, playing leaps, and we're introducing legato pedaling at this stage. And then in level 3, of course, they want to be playing faster. So we've got quite a lot on agility, introducing semiquavers, but in a light way, so it all feels very easy. And then that also leads later on to ornaments, which again need that agility and lightness of touch. So we're talking about that. We're talking about sort of more widely spaced chords and so on, and how to do that without tensing up and feeling too much at a stretch. We're getting into 2-octave arpeggios, which actually are much harder than you think. So they shouldn't be introduced too soon. We're talking about balancing the hands, so that if they're playing a left-hand melody, for instance, they'll be able to sing that out and have a lighter touch in the right hand. And also we're introducing the big challenge for pianists is actually doing 2 notes in 2 and 2 voices within one hand, and how to do that without getting tense. We've got lots of things about rhythmic impulse, accents and da-da-dum, jumping up and upbeats and things, and repeated notes and direct pedaling. So We're just going to now show you a few examples and with some of the pieces as well, and I hope you'll enjoy them. So one of the first technique I want to talk about is rounded movements, which are, if you've got a rounded gesture, you have a sort of rounded experience of the music. And if everything is just played with the fingers, it tends to sound very dull and boring. So we introduce, firstly, what I call gluey finger circles. Well, firstly, we start with some big circles and just getting the idea of loosening up all the joints. And then we move this into what I call gluey finger circles, where we just put one finger down. We feel that glued to our knee or to the table or something. And then we just do a rounded movement with the wrist. And the whole arm goes with it. So it's a very beautifully coordinated movement. And then that leads to various types of musical patterns. So, and so on, all sorts of different patterns using that circular motion. But I want to get on to how eventually we start to lead that towards expressive scales. So with scales, what I said to Aaron when we were collaborating on this, I said, we want the feeling that a scale has a sense of direction, a sense of flow, and then coming back again. So I wanted to start with the white notes. So we do a scale coming on the white notes. And then we come back on the black notes, which means that the hand naturally tends to do this. And it starts to develop a rounded movement. So without them having to think about it, they start to play a very expressive scale. So I said to Aaron, can you do anything with that white note black idea? And this is what he came up with. Oh, do you need it's under rounded scales? Yeah. So that is called Daydream. And you can see the movement is tiny. We start with big movements, and then, but it was actually there. So those of you who are experienced teachers will have seen it. Those of you who aren't pianists may not have noticed it, but it's there. Aaron's very scary about whether he's actually showing the right techniques in each of these. So another, and that leads on to arpeggios and two octave arpeggios and just getting the flow within these sort of typical patterns, but to actually be able to play them musically. So we've got dynamic explorers, sound explorers for balancing the hand. So I just want to show you one little exercise that we're doing here. So at this level, we're trying to get the idea that one hand can be louder than the other. And that's a difficult coordination problem for somebody who's still a beginner, an elementary pianist. So what we do here is we start by what we call elephant steps. Those of you who've done the previous books will recognize this. So you're just dropping really heavily onto your lap. And then you're doing little bird taps, which are up here. And what you'll find is naturally, this becomes very light, doesn't it? Because the muscles of the shoulders are holding the arm up, and these become heavy. So it's, again, more exploring about how to create different sounds. So we then start to do cha, 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 cha. And the so we're introducing pieces that are expecting more of the pianist, where they can really start to sing that left-hand melody. So both these examples are by a composer called Cornelius Gurlitt. Then let's talk about upbeats. So here, in all music, the rhythm is as important as the notes, as the the pitch, and the rhythm is what gives the music impetus and it gives it shape. And when we're doing an upbeat, it's da da da. So we call it run and jump, run and jump. So the accent is on the last note. Right? So how do we do that? And we have an exercise where we're firstly just doing and one. So and up, and up. So we start by just on our wrist, just dropping and then up, down, up, down, up. And then we do 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. And then we start to do it smaller. We also do it with flicking something on the hand. Whoever catches it gets to keep it. Okay, so down, up. There you go. Oh, it's right in between the two of you. I'll have it back then. Okay. So it can be just 2 notes. So you feel it, and 1, and then da da dim, ba da dim, and so on. And da da dum, da da dum. You know the Kavalevsky piece that it really develops this. But Aaron's written a piece called Piper's Tune. Yeah, you got the music ready for that?
Yeah. And in this piece, I not only use 3-note upbeats, so, but also 5 notes.
Yeah. And whoa, listen up for the left hand. Those of you who heard it today, tell me which technique he's using in the left hand. Sorry, that's really puts you on the spot.
I didn't sign up for this.
No, you didn't. Oh. Another technique that we introduce in level 3, and these are just a few very, very small examples of the many, many different techniques in these books, is repeated notes. And where's it gone? Try it again. Here. There we go. Yes. And for those of you who aren't pianists, there are a few here. There are when we repeat a note, this can be very complex, especially when you get to more advanced level. So what we're trying to do is to set the right sort of habits so that these become really easy when they reach at a more advanced level. And there are 2 main ways of playing repetition. One is where you're doing that movement, which actually is very slow and actually really exhausting eventually, because you have to pull the finger back and then you have to get back ready to play the next note. So what we're showing them here is a very simple way of playing some repeated notes. And we're starting by just going 4, 1, 4, 1 in this way. So we're just getting an arm movement involved. And then we're doing it on a wood like this. So we're doing 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1. And then we're doing 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. So da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum. So that the arm again is taking the finger into position, and it's a really useful technique to learn to do at a steady tempo at this stage, so that when they get faster, they'll be really good at it. So I hope you'll be able to see what's happening in this piece. This is a short little duet. And you'll see that the student part, which I'm playing, is actually using precisely this technique. What? Sorry. We haven't actually had much chance to practice these pieces. I'm also falling off the stool, okay, so hang on. Right, let's get comfortable. Yeah. Okay. We probably played it a little bit faster than your student would, but I'm afraid we can't help doing that. Another technique is agility. And so the introductory, and the problem is a lot of people, when they try to play faster, what they do is they press harder and harder into the keys, and that makes it harder and harder to move quickly. So we're really encouraging a lightness of touch here. So I start with an exercise that I call cloud hands. And what they do is they just let their hands float up and pretend that they're clouds. They're just wafting around in the air like this. And then they just imagine that the rain is trickling down. And then we translate that onto just twiddling our fingers, which is what we all do. Anybody can do that. So we don't have to be a skilled pianist to be able to twiddle our fingers. And then we use that idea. We compare, for instance, an old-fashioned typewriter where you're really pressing hard and just tapping on a laptop. And then we translate that into a few little exercises. So this is one. So we just do something simple like this. And so on, and coming down, and just using very, very simple notes, so they don't have to think about it. They can just focus on feeling really comfortable at the piano. And then we've got a lovely piece called Tango, which uses exactly that. And there's also things like the Bergmüller arabesque, so many pieces that this leads on to. And what other technique was being explored there in the right hand? Those of you who are here today. Jellyfish jumps. There you go. Thank you. And that lightness of touch leads to ornaments and lots of other aspects of technique as well. So just to finish, we're going to play you one of the duets from the end of each book. So each book ends with a piece that is an encore piece. It's a performance piece. It's much longer, and it combines a lot of the different techniques that the student has been learning in that book. So they can start to sort of build up. And in the all except the first one, they were all no, they are all duets, and they're more substantial pieces. And so we're going to play you the one called Broadway, which is from the end. It's the final piece in level 2. So we're doing all the repeats, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much for all of you who joined us in person, and for those of us who've joined us online. And please enjoy the rest of your evening. Well done.